Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I want to welcome you to the Veterans Guide Reddit questions that we're going to answer. You know, I normally do the VA disability, but today we're going to focus on the VA home loan process and how we can help you get your VA home loan. Today I'm joined by Jodi Ulrich from Novus Home Mortgage, and he's going to help us answer a few questions today.
My name is Jodi Ulrich. Been doing mortgages for 22 plus years, specializing in coming alongside clients, walking them through the process, and really just helping them get into homes. So just excited to be here, share some of our knowledge to figure out how we can get veterans into more homes.
Normally, I'm answering Reddit questions about VA disabilities, and today we're going to answer questions about the VA home loans. I brought in a professional to answer these Reddit questions for you. Jodi, you ready to get started?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Excited to be here, ready to get some of these questions answered.
Jodi, I'm going to start off with the first one. He said, I have a current VA loan on my primary residence. I'm purchasing a new home on a VA loan and am listing my house this week. I'm worried about losing a home I like under a first right offer with my current house selling being a contingency. Is it possible to be approved for a VA loan on a second home if I intend to sell my current one?
Yeah, that's a great question, Robert. A lot of clients come with that similar question because it is a competitive market out there. The short answer is yes, you can, absolutely. If you have enough entitlement left on your VA benefit, you can definitely get into another property without selling your existing one. But if you do intend to sell your existing property, we can also work on getting your entitlement restored after that loan closes, and that gives you your full entitlement back. So yeah, that's a very good question. Lots of people have it, and yeah, definitely that's something that any VA home lender can kind of walk you through and take a look at your specific situation.
So I got a little question in there for you.
Yeah.
So you talked about entitlement. Can you explain to them exactly how entitlement works when you have a first home purchase and a second home purchase? So we'll use an example of, let's say the entitlement total allotment was $1 million, but your first home was $500,000, that you purchased your home at $500,000. Can you explain the entitlement part of that?
So what the entitlement is the VA is guaranteeing 25% of your home loan in the case of a default for the lender. So that entitlement amount is usually limited by the county loan limit if it's what they would call a subsequent use. But in a first-time use, there's no loan limit. So if you've utilized a portion of that, there's a calculation that we do based upon how much entitlement you've used to see if you're still eligible for 100% financing. So your lender will walk you through that process to see exactly how much entitlement you have left and if a down payment is required. So yeah, it's going to be 25% of the county loan limit minus whatever the 25% of the amount that you've used. I know that's a little wordy in there, but it is a specific calculation that we look at.
All right, Jodi. Our second question comes from Emotion Alternative 82. How do I buy a house as a first-time buyer with the VA home loan?
You have what's known as a certificate of eligibility, and you can either, if you don't have that on file, you can request one from the VA or talk to any VA home loan lender that can start the process. But it's really not a lot different than just a normal home purchase process. You're going to want to engage with a VA approved lender. They're going to take a look at your income, your assets, and really walk you through that process of what it all entails. So it's specifically qualifying for both the loan with your debt to income ratio and your total assets, but then also taking a look at that certificate of eligibility to making sure that you qualify for a VA home loan specifically.
With the certificate of eligibility, does the veteran have to do it themselves, or are you able to assist them through that process?
Yeah, that's a great question. The veteran can do it themselves, but as a VA home loan lender, we can definitely assist them through that process. That can a lot of times be done electronically just by the lender going to the VA home loan website, or sometimes we actually have to put in a full application utilizing the Veterans DD 214 or point statement.
All right, our next question comes from SureKing758. If I have no income, can I use my spouse's income to qualify for a VA loan?
Yes, Robert. We can use the spouse's income to qualify them for a home loan, assuming that the spouse is on the loan with them. Still, obviously, got to qualify for all the other debt to income ratio and loan to value ratio stuff within the VA, but we can use their income to qualify for the home loan.
What about a veteran's disability? Does that qualify as an income for the veteran when he's applying for the loan, even with the spouse is mainly bringing in income?
Yes, the veteran's disability income does qualify. It'll actually show up right on their certificate of eligibility when we actually get that pulled from the VA. So definitely can be a source of income for the spouse or for the veteran.
Our next question is from Embarrassed Bag 3189. Can you buy a home with a VA loan to then rent it out?
Yes, great question, Robert. Unfortunately, you cannot purchase a home under the VA to rent it out initially. The expectation is that you're going to be living in that property for a period of time, generally 12 months, before you can turn around and rent it out. Certainly, many veterans, especially active military, are moving all throughout the country, and they may have purchased a property and aren't able to sell it, or they want to kind of retain it based upon where they might be living when they exit service. So they can rent that out at that portion. But specifically, the VA benefit is for primary residences that you're going to occupy. And again, that expectation is about 12 months.
So I got a quick question about that. I always wanted to purchase a home and then use some other aspects to rent it out. So I'm more talking about like a duplex or a quadplex. How would that look as far as doing a purchase and making it your primary residence, but also renting it out? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. You can utilize your VA benefit for a duplex, a 3-family, 4-family. That's not a problem at all. And you can rent out the other units as long as you're occupying at least one of the units, again, for that 12-month period. But yeah, lots of veterans like to utilize that strategy because it does offset that mortgage payment, making home ownership a little bit more affordable. That's obviously one of the big challenges these days.
That's one of the things I wish I did as a young airman. I swear, I wish I did that and knew about that.
Yeah, we all wish we started investing in real estate a little bit earlier on, and we always try to guide and walk our clients through that, right? Like, hey, it's a good time to buy. You can take advantage of it. And if you have somebody else that's making the majority of that mortgage payment, it can be a great way to build equity and net worth as you're in the military and serving our country.
Yes, sir. All right, so our next one is from Big Assessment 4481. My income is $74,000. I have about $33,000 in credit card debt, and my DTI is 18%. Do I qualify for a VA loan?
Yeah, so certainly don't know that their full credit profile there. We definitely want to take a look at what their overall credit profile is to make sure they meet all of the requirements of the VA home loan. But 18% debt to income ratio is well within line of what the VA wants. Generally, we're looking at about a 41%. You can exceed that in certain circumstances based upon your credit profile, your overall income profile, what we call your residual income. But 18% is definitely within those limits, and there's a good chance they would qualify for a
Does
VA
like
loan.
utilities and like insurance count towards that DTI, debt to income ratio? Because those are like things that are not necessarily credit where you're pulling like a debt, but you're making a bill that's every month, every day.
Yeah, so your taxes and homeowners insurance do factor into that debt to income ratio, whereas other expenses such as like utilities, that's going to factor into your residual income calculation. So there's really two calculations there that we are going to look at, but specifically for the debt to income ratio, it's just taxes and insurance as well as your principal and interest payment on the mortgage.
Well, now we got one from I will find my purpose. I like that one. I will find my purpose. I need help understanding the 6 credible years requirement.
Yeah, so the 6-year requirement is going to be for veterans who served in the National Guard. where they have to be there for 6 years serving, or active military for 90 days, with 30 of those days being consecutive. So if they were in the National Guard for the 6 full years, they're going to get what they call a point statement. We'll be able to utilize that point statement to pull their certificate of eligibility and get them qualified for a VA home loan.
I can tell you that's something I didn't know because I was active duty. So that's just never, I understood the point systems, but I never really got into like all the requirements of it. So that's good to know, even for myself. All right, let's go ahead and we got one from Lone Belly Earth 6382. Can you use a VA loan if you filed for bankruptcy?
Yes. Bankruptcy is definitely not a disqualifier as long as the proper amount of time has elapsed. So specifically for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it's 2 years from your discharge date. Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is the bankruptcy in which you are making the payments back to them, you can qualify with after 12 consecutive payments have elapsed, as well as court approval from the trustee to allow you to take out new debt. So bankruptcy is not a disqualifier. It is just something that there's waiting periods that we have to look at.
So really, even if you file bankruptcy, don't be fearful. It would probably be better if they reach out to you and try to get some information and see where they're at. And what if they haven't met that timeline? Are you willing to work with them and then be patient until that timeline hits?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people think of that 7-year mark. I think it's kind of as it falls off their credit. That's what they try to lean towards. We always tell people, talk to somebody that can guide them through that process, even if it's only been 18 months since their discharge. And we can really walk them through what steps they should be taking in order to get prepared for home ownership. And so I always say earlier the better. There's lots of things that we can fix with time, just guide them along and give them good expertise. One of our challenges, Robert, is they do all the things they think they should be doing, and sometimes those are a little bit more challenging to fix after the fact. So getting with a good approved VA home loan lender that can walk them through what steps they should be taking is a great way to start that home ownership process.
So you guys do provide, even though they may not have hit that time, you provide guidance that will also help the veterans in their homeowner purchase, even if they haven't meet that time. Is really like you're there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some veterans that we've walked with for a year or 2 years because things come up in life, and you are on the path to maybe repair your credit or get out of bankruptcy, and emergencies happen and there's setbacks, and we're really passionate about helping everybody get into a home and helping them with that process. So we understand real life happens. And quite honestly, it's one of the greatest things that we get to do when you come alongside someone, work with them for a year or 2 years or even 3 years. They're eternally grateful that you stuck with them, gave them that advice, and understood and didn't judge that they had challenges come up. Because that's where people, they're embarrassed about it, right? Like they think there's this embarrassment, and it's not. It's life happens. So
and you want to be there to help them out.
We want to be there to help them out. That's what we're there for. And honestly, it's what we enjoy doing. Quick and easy are great, and we'll help those clients and walk them through the process. But when you get to come alongside someone, help them make their dreams a reality, that's pretty special.
And that's one of the biggest things I think veterans struggle with, is that they don't have a consistent help of people always being there and guiding them through processes. Yeah. And sometimes, I hate to say it, holding their hand and walking them through. And some of us, at times, it may not be everything in life that we want someone to hold our hands, but at times we run across that process where we want someone to hold our hand and walk us through something because we don't understand. We were 24/7 military service, mainly focused, and sometimes all this outside life things just kind of take over. So that's a really good note for you guys to know, that they are willing to help you. There is no embarrassment, and they're willing to guide you through everything, even if you don't qualify for a home loan. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good experience to be able to just, like I said, come alongside them, work with them, and just guide them to what steps they should be taking to make homeownership a reality.
All right, this next question is from Mama Bear Button. Anyone know the process of selling a home when I used a VA loan? So I think what she's trying to say is, She purchased her home with a VA loan,
Mhm.
and she's looking at selling the home and what the process looks like when selling a home with a VA.
The process for selling a property with a VA home loan is really no different than a regular process, right? You want to engage with a real estate agent, figure out what a market value is on your property. You can list that property through the multiple listing system with an agent, and then that VA loan will get paid off. One of the nice benefits with a VA home loan, though, is they are what are known as assumable. That means somebody else can come and take over your home loan. And in the current rate environment being a little bit higher, with some people having some VA home loans in the 2 to 3% range, it can be a great benefit to help a new veteran or a new homeowner come in and assume a home loan. So the one downfall of that is that does hold that VA entitlement a little bit hostage
Yes.
until that property is sold and that loan is satisfied. But we would run that calculation with their entitlement to see how much of a new home loan that they would qualify for. But again, that process for selling, not a whole lot different if you're going to go ahead and sell.
So with the loan assumption, I got a question about that. So I know about this. If they assume a loan, obviously you lose entitlement, right? And it has to be fully paid off. And you're saying if it's either paid off or sold again, and then it's got full payout. What about a potential refinance? Could the new homeowner refinance once the rates drop and become more affordable for the new homeowner in some type of agreement with the seller?
So they can certainly refinance. If they can get a lower rate or a better overall transaction by refinancing, they can do that. And once that VA home loan is paid in full, your entitlement would be restored. So they can either sell that property or refinance. That's not a problem
The
at all.
new owner
The new
refinance.
owners, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Our next question is from an anonymous user. Can you use a VA loan for construction? So I think again, this one's can they use the VA home loan to build a home on some land?
Yes, the VA does offer a home construction loan. The construction company needs to become VA approved.
Okay.
If they're not VA approved, us as the lender can come alongside them and get them VA approved. Just some paperwork with the builder. They can utilize that. However, we do see a lot of our veterans use more of a traditional construction loan and then come in after the construction period is over and then take out their VA home loan after that. So that's probably maybe a more common process, but definitely they can use the VA loan for the construction.
So when you're using it for the construction, is it only for the home, or can you include the land with the home as a one all-around purchase?
Yeah, so if they already own the land, we can just look at doing the construction, or if they want to do it as a full package, buy the land and then build the property. That's fine too. So either one of those options is
So they really got the options. When it comes to constructions, you can do it in many various aspects.
absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Our next question is from Traditional Neat 387. Can I be denied from getting a VA loan based off damage observed in an inspection?
Yeah, that's a great question. The VA does have minimal property standards that they need to adhere by. So when you're looking at a specific property, they really want to know structure sound. Is there any safety issues that might be of a concern before the VA will want to do a loan on that? So as an example, electrical outlets or wiring, electrical wiring that isn't secured. That could be a safety concern, and those are things that we want fixed. A leaky roof, that could create maybe a mold issue and a safety concern there. A foundation challenges. So these are all things that you would want to go back to the seller on in order to see if we can get these fixed prior to the veteran getting into the property.
Okay.
In some circumstances, we can do what they call escrow. We can hold back some money, whether from the buyer or the seller, for these repairs to be fixed after closing. It's a little more rare, but there are certain aspects in which we can fix some of those things. We would see something like that from maybe a property that needs a new roof, but middle of winter. I live up in Wisconsin, so hard to put on a new roof in February in 0-degree weather. So that's something we might escrow for. Do the repairs once the weather becomes impossible.
I got a challenging question on this aspect. So Say you go in for a home purchase that's 500,000, right? The actual home value is larger, but you submit a loan for 500,000. And the only reason why I'm asking this is because I ran across this issue.
Yeah.
Then you turn around and you go, well, I want to purchase it for a little bit more, kind of like an escrow, and I want to make some upgrades, or I want to put in a pool. I want to do this because the value is there for the initial purchase with agreement with the seller. But once the inspection is done, they go, oh yeah, the value is at 500,000. But in reality, the home value based off of market was 750,000. But once that inspection happened, I was told there's no way to wiggle room to get more within that seller's agreement.
Yeah.
How do you go about making that adjustment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying you think the market value of the property is a little bit higher. You're getting it maybe for below market. So the appraisals come in at a higher amount. It's a little bit of a challenge. It kind of depends on what the fixes are, and then when the fixes are going to happen. So if the property was 500,000 and it appraised for 550, you do have some instant equity in there. But in terms of your loan to value within the VA, they're going to go off of what your purchase price is. You can request certain things to be fixed or added as long as it's done before closing. We got to be a little bit careful there in terms of like what these repairs are. Are they necessary repairs? Or you mentioned pool, that could be looked at as like an like they would call like an inducement to buy. Like, hey, we're gonna go to 550 and we're gonna throw in a $50,000 pool. That's generally not allowed in those circumstances. But if it is a new roof that needs to be fixed, those are things that we can include in the purchase price and have them done prior to you purchasing the property.
All right, Jody, that was our last question. Is there anything else outside of the questions that we answered that you may want to touch on for the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly, people have questions all the time. I just ask that you feel free to reach out to me. You can click on our link below and have my contact information there and a link to get a hold of me. Always willing to come alongside people, answer their questions, make sure that they can get into a home loan. And yeah, so I really appreciate you having me on today, Robert, and enjoyed our time together and answering these questions. It was a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm hoping we can have you back again because there's always little nuances that need to be addressed year after year, always changing. So there's always stuff that'll constantly be updated.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Every client has a story. Every client has a specific situation. It's one of the fun parts about my job, right? I get to hear their stories. I get to hear about, how they're in the situation they're in, good or bad, and then, figure out solutions. It's a lot of fun to be able to do that. And again, love being able to talk with veterans and figuring out these solutions. So yeah, click on the link and happy to help you out in any way I can.
Well, thank you, Jody, for being here. That ends our episode. If you have any questions, please drop them below, subscribe, click the link if you want to reach out to Jody, and we appreciate your time. Thank you and have a great day.